Alright, BobalosRex here, and you know what today is? A Lord Rant. Now, I know everyone's talking about this crystal and stuff, and Nightfall and all that, but you know what? We gotta talk about something that's huge, that has to happen right now. There are two patches on the way. Do you know what patches those are? The patches that are for sure in the works are 11.1.7. Okay, already on the PTR, going to be tested soon, and you know I will be all over it. Most likely going to be announced this coming week. All right, this coming week, mark my words. 11.1.7 will be announced, and I gotta say it. We all are asking this question today, so much so. So I kind of plan this video like a day, hopefully a day or two, a couple in advance. You know, if I got it really cooking, weeks, right? But I was like, man, you know what topic we need to talk about this week? Where are the Haranir? Where the fuck are the Haranir? Literally, you pull up the War Within cinematic. You want to know one of the characters in it? Orwena. Alright? Orwena, who is actually not anywhere near this area, which is funny. But, Orwena, big deal, right? And I think she's great, right? And listen, I know not everyone is into the Haranir allied race, whatever, but you cannot tell me that the Haranir aren't directly, like, involved with the War Within. Like, they have to be because they're in the frickin' cinematic. Orwena, as she's just kind of like popping in, right? She's like, oh, I have to help in Ashket. Great. She comes our aid, right? Then the next time we see her, oh, we're going to looking for the goblin. She's helping us do the goblin. She's helping us fight Zalatas. She's helping us fight the Nerubians. She's popping up. And then there's her drama with her people, right? Her people are like, don't work with the outsiders. Don't work with them. Don't tell anybody we're here. We're supposed to be secret. We're mysterious. And it's like, bro, it's kind of out the bag. Y'all clearly dealing with an issue. They're dealing with an issue back at their place. Wherever that is. Is it this way? Alright. So they're clearly dealing with an issue, and they were like, you know what? And even Orwena's group was like, we're done. We're going back home. And then Orwena's like, well, I gotta do what my goddess says. Okay? Her goddess. Right? Is that a loon? Most likely it's Azeroth. And that has led to a lot of questions with the Haranir, right? The Haranir leave us with so many questions. I mean, remember early on in the beta, it was like, what are the Haranir? And all the theories. Are they trolls? Are they elves? I'm going to kind of recap that. So, here's the way we see it. Because they're kind of like, they're not elves and they're not trolls. They're not night elves and they're not trolls, right? But they have to share a common ancestor with trolls 100% because, or it does seem that it looks like they are the middle between trolls and elves, right? But there's part of them that are a little funky, right? The feet. We're going to look more into, actually, we're going to look more into the features, but there's things about them that put them kind of in the middle. And my theories, they could be early, they could be proto-elves, right? Night elves at this interim point that were pro-Elune that left while they were still transitioning, that left to protect these roots and kind of turned into different stuff, right? So they were trolls turning into modern night elves, but they were a group that left, right? Whether it be for their goddess, so for Azeroth, to protect this tree, which if you don't know what's up with these roots, right? Okay. Yeah, you know what? Let's explain the roots. So the roots are basically 99% the roots of the original world tree. Okay. So there was a branch plucked from Haranir given to... No, it's a different branch. All I know is Alun gave Haranir a staff, right? She used that staff to plant a tree in Azeroth during the Black Empire, or just after, or around that time frame, right? When the Titans were here. Aman'Thul pulled that tree out. The roots were in, and then the story has Alun crying and the waters flooding in to the cavern, the crevice, the area, the rift that had formed from the tree being pulled out. And that's the thing. All that leads to here: the ruptured lake, the tree, the world core. It all leads into Khazad-dûr. So the Haranir are the mysterious race that basically on Alun's order, or Haranir's order, well, not really on their order, but through them, are here protecting the tree. I think it's mostly through Alun. They're connected to Alun, but Orwena has a connection to Azeroth as well, which is interesting. Alright. So, we have these Alun connections. You have so they could be closer to Night Elves in that regard, having been a group of proto Night Elves that came over and changed a little bit more, because they are different, right? We're going to look more into the Haranir in a bit. They could be an order of trolls that came here and protected Alun and changed differently, because we do seem to see, y'all know my theory, you take Malorn and Alun and you get Cenarius, so you take the deer out of Cenarius and what you're left with is Night Elf. So Alun's basically Night Elf looking, right? So Alun is basically a Night Elf. So she could have morphed these to be Night Elfy too, the trolls, if they were trolls. But that's also where I have my third theory, right? So they're either proto-elves came over here, trolls that came over here and changed, or Quillbore that came here and changed. Alright? Hey, we'll look more into their look in a second. So anyways, we got these roots, we got this area here, we got this spot that needs to be used, right? Now, why am I saying the next two patches? Well, here's the thing. It's either going, alright, to be a zone that is used in 11.1.7, and we go there and we help the Haranir, and 11.1.7 has a lot more area to do stuff in. But I'm really thinking, because the 0.5 has this event, right? So let's think about when these patches would be, right? So this patch 0.7 should be in June. It could be delayed until July, and maybe that's why they spread this patch so thin, which would be interesting. But the 0.7 should be in June, and the 0.2 should be in August, according to my calendar. I would be disappointed at this point, right? Because Orwena has kind of just been following us along, doing little things. I would be disappointed at this point if the entirety of the Haranir storyline is played out in a 0.7. That could be sharing some time with Dastardly Duos. That is also going to have a Turbulent Timeway event. And a point 7 that I think should have some other features too. But if the point 7 is all Haranir, I could be satisfied, right? You know, it took a long time, but I could be satisfied, right? But I don't think the point 7 is just going to be Haranir. Because here's the thing. The point 7 also has to set up the point 2. Unless the point 2 is already set up. So if the point 2 is Koresh, then it is already all set up. You could have the point 7 all Haranir. And we solve their story, I guess? Because here's the thing. What is their story going to be? Like, let's really look at it, right? Orwena is off on her own doing some stuff trying to help her people. Some of her people are like, no, don't do this, I'm going back. Most of her people are staying at their home. So what is the play? So in a point 7, do we, with Orwena, go back and be like, yo, we're going to help you. We're going to help your people. And we're going to help you, help your people, and then some of them are going to join the Alliance and the Horde. Because if we're going to get them as an allied race, so much story has to be played out and shown. It can't all happen in a point 7. If the whole Haranir storyline has to be played out in a point 7 or after the next patch, that would mean, or in the point 2, then the point 2 is going to have the Haranir zone, or be involved with the Haranir zone, or we're going to get the Haranir zone in the point 7, which right now could be a thing, but would it be like a Siren Isle level zone, so it'd be small? I don't know if I'd be down for that at this point. Maybe. Maybe they could have a small zone, and then we just be going back to their small zone to play out their story on the sidelines while we're in Koresh. That just feels so weird. And if that's the case, then the Haranir are the cut content. The where are the Haranir is because they've been cut up. Almost Draenor style. Specifically on the Haranir, dude. And that's the thing, right? People may be like, yeah, who cares? I don't care. I don't need no thick elf. But it's like, bro, do you know how many people are going to play this elf? Do you know how many people play elves? This is the thickest elf that we got, right? This is the thickest, hairiest elf we got. And we really need this. We really need the Haranir. So let's get more into it. Let's pull up the pages. So where the heck are these guys, right? So they like I said in here, they talk about how they physically resemble trolls and night elves. You know, we're like, which are they? Which are we? But we don't know. We've seen them basically be druids, shaped in the backs. This is the cinematic. The main cinematic of the expansion has this character doing all this. Look at this zone. Look at this zone behind her. This doesn't look like anywhere that we've seen so far. Is this the root lands that we are going to be going to? And you see this corruption. So, if the root lands are deeper in, right, where would the black blood flow? And that could be, that's what I'm saying. We have so much story leading into wherever the Haranir are. You have her disagreement with her people, which clearly have more. So is there another leader? Is there a council? What are we looking at for Haranir politics? How do we solve that? Who are we helping? And if they're going to be an allied race, how are some of them going to be like? Are there going to be a bunch of them? There's got to be a bunch of them to be an allied race. And then the Horde and Alliance need to get involved, right? The Earthen had some story with the Horde and Alliance. So, if we're doing a Haranir thing, It has to have story with the Horde and Alliance. The Horde and Alliance got to get involved. Thrall's got to get involved. I want to see Thrall talk with Orwena. And you know what? People saying it's Alliance heavy, but you do got to have Jaina or someone from the Alliance with the team, right? So the Horde and Alliance and Orwena help her people. Then the allied race. Here, let's get to these customizations, right? Here's the thing. This is why we know they have to be an allied race, and if they don't become one, this is like the first completely cut allied race. Right? You see, oh, the separate. No. What I mean is, they have all of the stuff to be an allied race. These were locked into being an allied race. We literally had a whole Lingering Shadows questline where we hang out with them, get some transmog from them. Look at all these customizations options. Eye differences, eyebrows, face, all this. You see this for the Arathi, and we got Arathi customizations. Alright? These can't be customizations on a character. These are an allied race, or an added race, whatever you want to call it, but these are going to be an allied race, right? We gotta get them. We gotta get them, right? If they cut these, y'all know how many people play elves. It'd be so silly to cut all this work. So we gotta get them. I don't see them cutting an allied race, okay? So, I definitely think the Haranir, I mean, literally, this was back when their name was different. I definitely think there was a shift, right? We all know that there was a shift in the War Within. The Haranir can't be a cut thing. They can't be. You know? It'd be a travesty. You know? And they're great. I think Chris Metzen would have kept them in and been like, no, they're good. We gotta sort them out with the story I want to take. Because that's what I think would have been the issue, right? Is maybe these were a victim of having to do some heavy lifting to shift the story to what they wanted to do. And maybe that's why the Rootlands and this dream story may have been shifted into the World Core Deeper Down story. And maybe that's why you see the Rootlands not be a zone, because let's run down the story. So we had the Rootlands in the beta, and then that never showed up. We have like little bits and pieces of what it could have been, right? Then, when the roadmap was revealed, there was no zone announced for the Point 2. But then it was later added. I wonder, right? Here's what I wonder. Maybe the Rootlands was planned for like a 0.7 or something. Or earlier. But then it got turned into, right? It got turned into a World Core / Rootlands. And we're going deeper, right? But I could be staring at the 11.1.7 zone entrance right now too. So I'm not turning it away that it could be a 0.7 and we get it soon. I just know that if it was a 0.7, that zone would be much smaller than what I would want. But I still don't see how you pack enough Haranir story unless it is cut to shreds to get Haranir to not only join the Alliance and the Horde, but have, you know, their history fleshed out, to have the politics fleshed out, and all that in a 0.7. So if the zone was added in this 0.7, we may be playing out their story all the way to the next 0.7. And that would be a lot, especially if that's kind of a side story to if we're going to Koresh as a full zone, right? And they got to make that whole zone. But you know what? That's why I kind of lead back to my current highest priority theory, which is we go down into the world core to protect the world core from the ethereals, and then we can have the raid be Koresh, you know. Or it could be we're going deeper in 11.2, and the whole 11.2 raid is Haranir stuff. Or the leader's corrupted by Xalatath, you know how that plays out. You know, Xalatath corrupted, was in cahoots with the first raid boss. Xalatath was in cahoots with the second raid boss. Xalatath may be in cahoots with the third raid boss. Maybe she even playing the Titan Keeper down there. Who knows? But I definitely think with how long this part of the story has been dragged out, we need to see it. We need to see the Rootlands. Either next patch, the 0.7, and it may be a fraction of the story it would have been. But I still think people want thick elves. People want to know the backstory of the Haranir. And that's why I'm thinking more so we'll get the lead-in patch, right? If the 0.7 is leading into an 11.2 that is Haranir workhorse stuff, then the 0.7 is going to be Haranir. It's going to be Arwena. Like, all right, I need y'all's help to help my people. It's going to be a whole thing, right? And when I lead y'all down here, it's going to be a thing, right? Or it could be, since we're digging into the world core, once we are going to fix the core way and the patch be more core way based, Arwena's like, hey, when we get down here, we're going to be closer to where my people are. I'm going to need y'all's help down here. And then that would play more into why Xalatath may have broke the core way to keep us from getting down there deeper, you know? And it could be wrapped up in corrupting the roots and that kind of stuff. But we'll have to see. But that's what I wanted to talk about. Basically, where are the Haranir? Because they gotta show the hell up. You don't add these people here. Look at all these Haranir. You don't add these and then put in all the customizations in the file, all that, and not let them be playable. Look at all this bat stuff for Arwena. Look at this. Beware Eyes of Green, though. But the bad guys said it, so I think she's good. But see what I said about these could be troll feet, right? Because a troll foot would be that splitting in, so that could lead into the whole proto night elves, right? You know, this used to be one toe, and it's starting to split into two, and then we'd see in night elves, they'd get 5 toes. So, like I said, we have, could be proto night elves, a group of proto night elves that like the loon, but we're also maybe more shaman-y, and they were pro Azeroth, and Orwena's a druid, but she's like a druid for Azeroth. And then we got whole banners. Look at that. That's an allied race banner. That's an allied race banner. That is a flag that you put in, like, you know, Caverns of Time when you add a thing. So yeah, we definitely, mark my words, unless these are the first straight up cut allied race, because here's the thing, to me, they would be more cut than Sethric, because they got all of this. I was looking up, Sethric got customizations, but they don't got this level, right? And that's why you always saw the Sethric linked to the Volpair. I want, FYI, I'm fine with Sethric. I'm just saying, they got, the Haranir are more locked in than the Sethric ever were. And if these guys get cut, and I know, boohoo, another elf, oh well. The people that want this bad. And I still think, story-wise, we need to get them. They need to be involved. Like, you don't have them in a cinematic for an expansion to not be involved. I mean, Crexus He was at least involved, alright? And they're technically more involved than Crexus was, but geez. We need the Haranir allied race. And I'm definitely more 11.2 because of how much story we gotta get, man. Quillbore. Because we need, not only do we need Orwena and her story solved with her people, like her disagreement with her people, but we need, however the Horde and Alliance are going to end up recruiting her people, and we would need backstory on the Haranir, you know. And at this point, I don't think a 0.7 is going to be enough for me. And if it is what we get for the Haranir, I'll take it, because I do want them as an allied race. But I'm not going to be happy. They deserve a whole patch. Look at them. They deserve a whole patch. Alright? Look, they're even running the Xalatath with their toes out. You know, so that's what Blizzard's into. They're running around with their toes out. You know, we're gonna go deeper in here. Right? This would be the type of zone that we would see. Is what I'm thinking. Like, World Core, Titans, this. A big Rift Valley. Where all the roots are. We gotta get it. Anyways, that's enough ranting. But that's it. Where are the Haranir Blizzard? Where are they at? Are they in here? Where are they hiding? Bring them to us. We need them now. I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.